You're watching Las Vegas 1. News and information 24/7.
Next on News 1, it's off life support for now. A last-minute reprieve today for a life-saving program at UMC. A two-year race enters its final 96 hours. Both Obama and McCain plan visits to the Valley to ask for your vote. Thanks to the foreclosure crisis, we lead the nation in the number of homeowners who are upside down tonight, owing more than it's worth. And it's a story only the I-Team's George Knapp can tell tonight. The UFO that crashed into the Colorado River. News 1 starts now.
Now, News 1 at 9.
And good evening, everybody. I'm Jeff Gillan. A last-minute deal has saved the kidney transplant program at UMC, at least temporarily. It's the only one of its kind in the region. The program was set to lose its accreditation December 3rd, but the deal keeps it going until January so the hospital can resolve its problems. Channel 8's Edward Lawrence reports.
Understands the importance of having local organ transplant services.
If we have to travel, or if the those in control of harvesting that have to travel to do it, then the opportunity to do that is lessened.
13 years ago outside Salt Lake City, her daughter lost control of her car driving home from work. At just 17 years old, Amber Ray did not survive the accident. As an organ donor, doctors used her corneas.
We were told that an 82-year-old woman and a 26-year-old man were now being able to see because of Amber's gift.
The first step to a full organ program starts with kidney transplants. This month, the Centers for Medicaid Services announced it would pull its accreditation, closing the only transplant program in the state because of a concern about the high death rate. Transplants would stop December 3rd. Representative Shelley Berkeley and the rest of the Nevada delegation stepped in to help.
I spoke to the head of CMS yesterday. When I got off the phone, I had a good faith belief that we were going to be able to come up with a compromise that works for everybody.
That compromise keeps the accreditation in place until after the first of the year. I've learned the deal includes fixes for the UMC program. New guidelines will better screen and monitor patients. There will be surprise inspections by the federal agency. Kuhn says her daughter's sacrifice shows how any hurdle should be overcome to keep the program.
I think it just confirmed that whatever we can do in this life to help preserve life and to make life better are things that we should do.
Edward Lawrence, Channel 8 Eyewitness News.
Early voting is now over. We'll get the final numbers tomorrow, and if you still haven't cast your ballot, you now have to wait until Election Day on Tuesday. Across our state, more than 500,000 people have already voted. Here in Clark County, more than 347,000 registered voters have cast their ballots, including more than 182,000 Democrats and 105,000 Republicans. Now, those are the latest figures available, which ran through last night. Again, the final figures come out tomorrow. New at 9 tonight, Democrats are fighting for control of the state Senate, where Republicans have a slim one-seat majority. Democrats are targeting 2 Republicans. Last night, we brought you the battle for District 6. Tonight, it is the fight for District 5, which pits Republican Joe Heck against Democrat Shirley Breeden. News 1's Carol Wilkinson has that story tonight. Carol.
Well, Jeff, State Senator Joe Heck says he plans to work right up to the hour that the polls close in his bid for re-election. And he's counting on what he describes as his heavy crossover support to win. Republican State Senator Joe Heck wants to keep his job, while the medical doctor / Army Reserves Colonel / SWAT team physician already maintains a schedule that would tire even the most energetic. He is showing no signs of fatigue in this final leg of the District 5 race. It doesn't go unnoticed that Democrats hold a slight lead over Republicans in this district in the number of registered voters. Heck puts the number at 42% to 38%.
It makes no difference what party you belong to. We're all Nevadans, and what's in the best interest of all Nevadans is what I stand for and what I'm going to continue to fight for. We have a lot of crossover appeal to Democrats. I have strong Democratic support in our district. And there's also a huge block of nonpartisan voters.
We're calling to see if Senator Heck could count on your support in this election. Okay, that would be great.
In a buzzing hub of activity at McCain-Palin campaign headquarters in Henderson, an army of volunteers is making last-minute calls to encourage residents to vote early. in the district that he has represented since 2004. Senator Heck says he and his volunteers have knocked on 20,000 doors in his bid for re-election. He has strong thoughts about health care.
Being a physician, obviously I look at medical issues, I think, in a little bit more detail than the other legislators, just like legislators who are professors look at education issues differently.
He leans more toward the center on the subject of the Iraq War and just returned in May from a medical tour of duty there.
For me, it's not an issue of, were we right going, are we doing the right thing? The fact is we're there. And the fact that we're there means that we've got to support our troops 110%.
But in the final analysis, the senator says his primary focus is on the citizens of Nevada.
Nevada's facing some critical challenges. It's not the time for somebody who's going to require on-the-job training, doesn't have a full grasp of the issues. I've been there for 4 years.
Meanwhile, Heck is facing a challenge from Democrat Shirley Breeden, billing herself as one tough mom. Breeden is a former administrator with the Clark County School District. We had hoped to interview Democrat Shirley Breeden for this profile of the 5th District race, but our calls to the Democratic candidate were not returned tonight. Jeff?
Carol, thank you very much. The race for the White House is now in its final stretch. Each candidate is now targeting must-win battleground states. Today, Barack Obama kept his focus on the economy as he tries to widen his lead in the polls. Dean Reynolds reports.
In Des Moines today, Barack Obama paid a call on the people who sent him on his way 11 months ago.
It's good to be back in Iowa.
And while Obama campaigned in sunny 70-degree weather, his organization sought to broaden his road to the White House.
Wonder where John McCain would take the economy? Look behind you.
Now running advertisements in Georgia, where early voting by African Americans has cheered Democrats, and in North Dakota, where polling shows a dead heat despite decades of loyalty to Republican nominees. And in a flourish of bravado, this ad is now running in Arizona.
A leader will bring us together.
It's John McCain's home state, but it's where Obama's campaign has detected movement his way and where Democratic volunteers have lately flooded in from other states to get out the vote.
What you started here in Iowa has swept the nation.
The campaign says all of the states won by John Kerry 4 years ago, including Pennsylvania, look good for Obama now. The intention over the next 4 days is to build on that foundation by flipping states like Iowa that George Bush won. Ohio or North Carolina, Florida, where it's a statistical tie, Virginia, Colorado, or Nevada. Missouri, tied again, or Indiana, too close to call. Obama has visited or will visit all of them this week. And even if he doesn't win all or most of them, the idea is to force McCain to defend them with resources he'd rather use elsewhere.
Thank you!
Obama's been running all out on the campaign trail, drawing huge crowds and adding events, including plenty of evening rallies to maximize exposure on the late local news. And he's getting plenty of help from Democratic headliners. Today, Al Gore in Florida and Hillary Clinton in Ohio.
The next 3 days will be critical to this race, and in the words of a top Obama strategist, they will also be ferocious. Dean Reynolds, CBS News, Chicago.
And tomorrow, Senator Obama will be campaigning right here in the Valley. It is his second visit to battleground Nevada in a week. He will hold a rally at Coronado High School tomorrow morning. Doors open to the public starting at 7 a.m. The program begins at 9 a.m. If you can't make it, we will show Obama's rally live right here on Las Vegas 1. Today, John McCain got some help from the West. Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger joined him at a rally in Ohio. Chip Reed reports.
In the final sprint to the finish, John McCain can't seem to get enough of Ohio.
Thank you, Ohio. The enthusiasm and the momentum that I feel here in Ohio is going to carry us to victory here in Ohio.
One of McCain's top advisors, a Southerner, puts it like this.
I may talk funny, but this I know. The road to the White House runs through Ohio.
Just across the Ohio River here in coal country, Sarah Palin is doing the same thing in Pennsylvania, blanketing the state.
Pennsylvania, will you hire us? Will you send us
To get an idea of just how important Ohio and Pennsylvania are to the McCain-Palin campaign, take a look at the numbers. Since Monday, McCain and Palin have made a total of 13 campaign stops in Ohio and 12 in Pennsylvania. In that same period, Barack Obama and running mate Joe Biden have made just 3 stops in Ohio and 4 in Pennsylvania. Overall, for the two states, that's 25 stops to 7 over 5 days. And the McCain campaign says it's working, that their polling shows them closing the gap in both states. And if they can pull off upset victories here, they say, they have a chance of winning. The most recent independent polls, though, show McCain trailing by anywhere from 4 to 9 points in Ohio and from 4 to 12 points in Pennsylvania. Late today in Columbus, the final stop of a 2-day Ohio bus tour, McCain brought out the political muscle.
John McCain is a real action hero.
But disappointing news to the McCain campaign from another top Republican today. Ken Duberstein, who was chief of staff during the Reagan presidency, today said he intends to vote for Barack Obama. Chip Reed, CBS News, Columbus, Ohio.
Republican presidential candidate John McCain will also make one last stop in the Valley before Election Day. The Arizona senator will be in Las Vegas Monday night, the eve of the election. He will hold a rally at the Henderson Pavilion, that's in Green Valley, at 6:30 p.m. Doors will open at 4, and we will bring you McCain's rally live right here on Las Vegas 1, Cox Cable Channel 19. Meanwhile, former Massachusetts Governor Mitt Romney was out campaigning in the Valley for John McCain today. He visited several campaign offices and spoke about why he believes McCain would make a better president.
Good to be here in Nevada today. This is a critical state, as you know. Polls show that it's too close to call, and that's why you have folks that are really pulling out all the stops to get people to come out and vote. We want to see a record turnout in Nevada. We think John McCain is going to win Nevada, surprise a lot of the pundits. I think it's going to come down to who they think can create jobs. And Barack Obama talks about spreading the wealth around. John McCain talks about spreading good employment numbers around, increasing jobs. Jobs are the answer. We want to stop the collapse in housing prices. His plan does that. We want to add more jobs. John McCain's plan does that. That's why I think John McCain is going to carry Nevada in the final analysis.
Early voting has a lot more Democrats turning out than Republicans. What do you say about that?
Well, we look at the total number at the end of the election day. We'll know exactly where we stand. I'm looking at the overall polls that show that this is a race too close to call. I think as people are going into the voting booth, they say Barack Obama's a charming guy, but he doesn't have the experience to guide the economy at such a critical time. His plan, in my view, would cost this country millions of jobs. John McCain adds jobs. I think that's the issue that'll decide the election.
Well, what's it going to take in such a little time to make that turnaround, since Obama is leading the polls here in Nevada and the rest of the country for that matter?
Well, actually, the polls are getting tighter and tighter now within the margin of error in swing state after swing state. And I think as people go in the voting booth, they say, okay, put aside all the celebrity, put aside the big shows and all the advertising. Who really has the experience to guide America at such a critical time? And I think they realize that for Barack Obama, who's been in the Senate 150 days, that's not the kind of experience we need at such a critical time.
You've been to this state 3 times in the last few months. Why Nevada? Because there's a lot of swing states still.
Well, I get to a lot of states. I'm going to be visiting, I think, 8 or 9 states before Election Day. And so I'm doing whatever I can to encourage people to make the phone calls, to get other friends out to vote. Turning out our voters is what's critical in this election.
What do you think of Sarah Palin, the VP pick? Do you think that she is helping, or do you think it's more detrimental to his case?
She's been able, Sarah Palin has been able to draw a lot of energy into our party, to create large crowds, big volunteer pools, donors. She's really invigorated, I think, the campaign, the McCain campaign. And so, you know, we'll see what the final analysis shows, but I think she's been a net positive in the campaign.
You were the one that won here back in the earlier part of the year, so what do you say to people that were supporting you over John McCain back then?
Well, I wanted to win, but he won fair and square, and he and I are on the same page with regards to strengthening the economy and bringing our troops home with a victory. And so, because we're on the same page, if people supported me, I want them to support John McCain as well.
On a personal note, there are reports that you will not seek, the next bid for presidential election. So, is that true?
Well, I'm planning on John McCain becoming the next president, and then 4 years later he'd be our nominee again, or his vice president would be. So I'm not making any plans with regards to the future. I think the likely course is that John McCain is our nominee.
Well, in politics, everything gets put under the media microscope, from $400 haircuts to $150,000 wardrobes. Tonight, though, we're talking about really big money. The I-team has spent the last 2 months poring over every single presidential campaign dollar spent right here in Nevada. From hotel stays to payroll and dinners, every single penny's accounted for. The I-team's Jonathan Humbert reports.
It's money that can win your vote and the White House. For 2 months, the I-team searched through every expenditure report for the two presidential candidates here in Nevada. When we told the campaigns the final totals, here's how they reacted.
Wow.
And here's how we did it. The Federal Election Commission compiles the reports for political activity. We pulled out Nevada dollars and kept a list for every single day of the campaign.
There's no comparison on who spent more. Barack Obama had 279 pages of campaign expenditures. John McCain, 17. And that's just the paperwork.
We know.
McCain's Nevada leader Rick Gorka says it all starts with TV ads.
They're going to try to buy the vote. They're outspending us a great deal on TV.
Barack Obama opposes opening Yucca. He's the biggest celebrity in the world.
John McCain spent $5.2 million in ad buys in Nevada. That pales to Obama's $6.7 million in TV time in the Silver State. Channel 8 I-team analyst John Ralston says that's Obama's strategy.
He's swamped the airwaves with these ads and destroyed McCain.
He's going out with some canvassers.
Kirsten Sayre runs Obama's Nevada campaign. She says the air war is important, but boots on the ground win the day.
The Obama campaign has invested a lot more money in a grassroots operation.
The numbers back her up. When it comes to the ground war, not including TV ads, from February 2007 to just last week, Barack Obama spent just over $2.7 million. John McCain spent $220,000. Crunch the numbers, and Obama doled out 12 times more than McCain. Gorka wasn't surprised.
Obama has to spend a tremendous amount of resources here because he's naturally out of step for the inclinations of Nevada voters.
By election day, McCain will have been to Nevada 5 times. Obama has shown up 20 times, all by design.
The Obama campaign has basically been in the state since February of 2007.
McCain essentially gave up the Nevada caucus to Mitt Romney. McCain didn't spend a dime in the 4 months leading to the vote.
You know, Senator McCain didn't even really participate in Nevada during the caucus. He came in third behind Ron Paul.
Obama, on the other hand, smothered the state with multiple visits, thousands of dollars in food for rallies, and pricey hotel stays at the Hilton Grand Vacation Club and others on the Strip. Gorka says McCain had to focus elsewhere in the primaries.
John McCain was flying commercial, carrying his own bags with no staff, doing 130 town halls to win New Hampshire, and he did.
McCain's money mostly went to workers and hotel stays at MGM and the Venetian. Obama's paid for signs and posters, newspaper subscriptions in Elko and Winnemucca, and his favorite sandwich shop, Port of Subs. He also had very expensive stays at the Wynn and Caesar's Palace. Ralston says McCain's campaign likely took Nevada for granted. Historically, the state votes Republican, and by the time that the campaign figured we were up for grabs, Obama already had a well-oiled machine in place.
So are they buying it? Technically, yeah, but what they're buying is what the Republicans would love to buy, which is access to the airwaves and people on the ground.
With the final tally, the campaign spending still isn't close. Obama spent $9.4 million. McCain, $5.4 million. Now just 3 days until we find out if the money was worth it to get the votes.
Jonathan Humbert, Channel 8 Eyewitness News.
Obama essentially had control of the Democratic Party during the campaign, combining forces. McCain, on the other hand, allowed the Republican Party to spend on his behalf. Obama outspent McCain by 12-1 on the ground and by $4 million overall. A new report published today found Las Vegas was only second to Tampa, Florida, in the number of ads this election. And on election night, tune to Las Vegas 1 for a full night of election coverage. John Ralston, George Knapp, and I will be analyzing the results to keep you up to date on what could be a very historic evening. Our coverage begins at 7 p.m. We won't stop until the returns are in. That's Las Vegas 1, Cox Cable Channel 19. Coming up tonight, a mysterious object falls from the sky, crashing south of here on the banks of the Colorado River. The I-team's George Knapp joins us next with the investigation. Plus, Halloween is the start of the holiday season, and police are there looking out for dangerous driving. We'll tell you what they're doing to keep you safe.
I'm Ted Florendo. More clouds developing this weekend. A slight chance of showers on Sunday, maybe, and a big cool down expected for your election day. We'll tell you all about this and break this all for you coming up in the Neighborhood Forecast.
You're watching News 1 at 9 with Jeff Gillan, a program presented in partnership with the Las Vegas Sun, Cox Communications, and KLAS TV.
And welcome back. You're watching News 1. The FAA and other public agencies say they have no idea what plummeted from the sky and plowed into the ground near the Colorado River. It happened in May, and a number of eyewitnesses saw it. They also saw the flotilla of helicopters that arrived shortly afterward to retrieve whatever it was. The I-Team's George Knapp has been looking into this mystery on the Colorado River and joins us tonight with the latest. What happened?
Well, it's a complicated story. I think we can rightfully call this thing a UFO since the object is as yet unidentified. When we first reported on it back in July, we told you about a key eyewitness who had seen the crash close up and then dropped out of sight. It took a while, but we found him. He still doesn't want us to mention his real name, but he had plenty to say about the crash and what followed.
According to eyewitnesses, the mystery object blazed out of the sky in the early morning hours of May 14th. In Bullhead City, former LAX police chief Frank Costigan noticed the turquoise light overhead.
It kind of got bright, so naturally I looked up and I picked it up right about here, heading in that direction, and went up like this speed down behind the hill right there. I expected to hear the boom coming from somewhere.
Elsewhere in Bullhead City, Brad Allen's son saw it in his telescope.
And it was weird to him because it was going fast and it seemed to slow down and then picked up speed again. And it was really bright.
Looked like it was darn near coming right at me.
This fisherman was on a slow drift down the Colorado River south of the town of Needles when the large glowing cylinder plunged out of the sky.
It didn't look like a meteor. I've seen meteors before. It looked like a plane crashing.
The witness, who prefers to be known as Bob on the River, says the object slammed into the riverbank 50 or more yards west of his houseboat.
It hit and it thumped. It didn't crash, it didn't explode. It went poof, a thump.
In this desolate stretch of the river, much of the surrounding land is sandy like a beach, so a thump on impact rings true. Because the river is lower than the bank, houseboat Bob could not see the crash itself, but he had no trouble eyeballing the military-type helicopters that swooped in just moments later.
I believe there were 4 of them. One kept its light on me, one kept its light on the front of my boat, two of the other ones were circling.
The smaller choppers were joined by a huge sky crane similar to this one, which somehow attached itself to the crashed object, then hauled it away in formation toward the north. Minutes later, in Bullhead City, Brad Allen saw the aerial procession.
I looked through the binoculars, and below one of them was a green object. It wasn't glowing, it was just faint green.
There's so many possibilities of what it was, but
the story of the UFO crash and the mystery helicopters first emerged on KTOX radio in Needles after Bob on the River called in, a decision he came to regret. When the story went national, Bob was nowhere to be found. In the months since, the I-Team filed records requests with more than a dozen federal, state, and local agencies. Not one knows anything about the incident, although 2 federal intelligence agencies stated they have no records they can release. UFO groups have assumed the object must be a crashed flying saucer, similar to the famed Roswell incident, and that it was retrieved under something like Project Moondust, a real program from the Cold War designed to locate things that fall from the sky.
We've had things that fall down for a long, long time, and you have people who go out and pick up things that fall down. That doesn't make them extraterrestrial.
Retired intelligence Colonel John Alexander thinks it's possible that what crashed near the river was something being developed in secrecy by our military. His best guess, some sort of UAV, a pilotless warplane, the kind said to be in development at Area 51.
Well, it's only unidentified to you. They know what it is, and there's also the possibility that you lost control and it flew off the range. So
it's not that far from Edwards or any of the test ranges.
Lockheed Martin, for example, has conceptualized a number of super-secret, high-tech, unmanned flying machines capable of morphing into other shapes during flight. And what about military choppers? The I-Team found several stationed during the summer in Henderson, attached to a special ops group known as the Night Stalkers.
I'd sure like to know. I thought it was a plane crash.
Was Houseboat Bob intimidated into laying low, as ex-cop Frank Costigan told us? When we found him a few weeks ago, the fisherman was cagey.
It's a very difficult question to answer, Mr. Knapp, especially at this time.
Privacy. You could say that. I mean, you
Obscurity.
don't want attention. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely not.
But he added this intriguing postscript.
I don't believe we were meant to see this.
Houseboat Bob isn't the only person to feel intimidated. In the days after the crash, Needles residents say they had regular encounters with government agents in dark, unmarked vehicles, sort of like Men in Black, asking tough questions. That part of the story tonight at 11 on Channel 8. We'll also take a boat ride with Bob to the spot where this thing came down. And on our website right now is a GPS reading from that spot where this thing landed, in case you want to go out on your own UFO hunt, and a lot of people do.
Where did Bob go during the time nobody could find him?
You know, he didn't go far. He basically turned off his cell phone and he floated around a bit. We went to try to find him. Other people did too, couldn't find him. There are all these nooks and crannies down in that part of the river where people can hide and not be found if that's what they want. He knows that area very well, like the back of his hand. And he wasn't taken into custody or anything, but he really won't say whether he was questioned or talked to. We get the feeling that somebody did talk to him.
And obviously these people aren't pulling your leg. I mean, you talked to a bunch of people who saw this thing.
Yeah, we got a bunch of people, some of whom we interviewed on camera, many others, many times that number, that didn't go on camera, but have all basically told us the same thing. In Laughlin, Bullhead City, Needles, and Topak.
Did you go to the actual site where this thing supposedly landed?
That's sort of what we're doing tonight at 11. Yeah, we went all over looking for it, and it's, as we'll explain in this report, it's tough. That area, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's salt cedar all over. It's a wilderness area. It's tough to get through. It's like a jungle. And, you know, I don't want to give too much away, but finding this spot's going to be a tall order.
Well, tonight at 11 on Channel 8, make sure you watch. Sounds fascinating.
Thanks, Jeff.
George, appreciate it, as always. Tonight, a lot of people are out celebrating Halloween, and Metro's on the lookout for drunk drivers. That story's up next. Plus, nearly half of Nevada homeowners owe more than their houses are worth. The latest on the mortgage meltdown. And have a question or comment about tonight's program, I would love to hear from you. Send me an email, news1@klastv.com. Can be a scary time to be on the road with an increase in the number of people drinking and driving. This Halloween weekend, police are stepping up patrols to keep drunk drivers off our roads. Officers will be patrolling in full force.
We have more people killed in the United States by drunk drivers than homicides. If you drink, if you take prescription narcotics or any type of narcotics that's going to impair your ability to drive, don't do it, because we do not tolerate it.
By the way, officers also say they are catching more people driving under the influence of prescription drugs.
Hey, earlier today, lots of clouds just inundating the region up in Lundy Elementary, up in Mount Charleston. A lot of gray skies up there. And this is exactly what we saw throughout the day today. Just some peaks of sunshine here and there. Really, the showers that we had were really way up in northeastern Clark County. But the highs for the day today, look at that. Above average, 86 to 87 degrees for the northeast part of town. 78 degrees for Durango and Warm Springs. We got to the 80s for the lake, 94 for Laughlin, and Prump at 76 degrees. We're supposed to be around 73, 74 degrees for this time of the year, and that was not the case today, but we hope the temperatures this weekend will start to cool down. We're going to see that. All right, let's take a look at our sunrise and sunset. You wake up to mostly cloudy skies tomorrow, so the clouds really aren't going away. Sunrise at 7:04 in the morning, sunset at 5:44 in the p.m., also with some clouds hovering out and about by the evening as well. Meanwhile, here's what's going on. We got disturbance number 1 that brought all the cloud cover today. It did drop a few raindrops, like we said, right around Lincoln County, northeastern Clark County, but that one moves out of here. there. This is the much bigger system that's going to move in this weekend. And that, my friends, is what's going to cool us off. Also give us a slight chance of showers, we think, on Sunday, maybe even Saturday night. And you'll start to see the winds kick up too on Sunday. So big impacts this weekend, and good to see those temperatures finally cool off. Air quality, everything's good for dust, ozone, and carbon monoxide. Not a big issue for the weekend. Tonight, we are looking at mostly cloudy skies. 59 degrees will be our low. The chance of showers, very, very slim chance if we get anything at all. Tomorrow, we're at 81 degrees for our Saturday. Partly sunny skies. Notice your winds, they pick up a little bit, about 5 to 15 by tomorrow afternoon. Now, most of the big breezes we think will be on Sunday. A chance of isolated raindrops, a very slight to slim chance. We can't rule it out. If we get anything at all, most of that will really be up in the mountainous regions, the higher terrain, but a better chance we think on Sunday if we get any rain at all. Speaking of Sunday, here is your 7-day forecast. Sunday, still some clouds around. Breezes expected by Sunday throughout much of the day. Then we clear up Monday and Tuesday. We go from the 80s, which we'll see tomorrow, to the low 70s by Tuesday, which happens to be election day. As soon as that system passes through, the clouds clear out, then we get back to more sunshine. In fact, our temperatures go from the 70s back to the mid-70s by the latter part of the week. That's near normal. And do not forget to turn back the clocks 1 hour Saturday night before you go to bed, and also adjust that water clock just in time for daylight savings. That's your neighborhood weather. I'm Ted Ferrando. Have a great night.
All right, Ted, thank you very much. Ahead here on News 1, we're going to tell you about a couple of big sporting events expected to bring in big money for our valley this weekend. And hundreds of Nevadans are doing their part to fight Alzheimer's disease. Details on that next.
News 1 at 9 with Jeff Gillan, the Valley's only 9 p.m. newscast. News 1 at 9.
Halloween proved to be a lucky day on Wall Street. The Dow ended in positive territory, up 144 points. That's good news. It's an 11% gain for the week. Haven't saw that in weeks. October for the month, actually, the whole month saw a 14% loss. As for the NASDAQ and S&P, both moved up a little more than 1%. Nevada now has the highest number of upside-down homeowners in the whole country. Now, those are people who owe more on their home than it's actually worth. Despite their dilemma, there is a way for many to avoid foreclosure. Channel 8's Alison McCarthy reports.
Houses that sold for $400,000, today they're selling for $225,000, $235,000.
So many Americans now owe more than their homes are worth that there's even a new term for it. It's called underwater borrowers.
They owe more than the house currently might bring if it was on the open market.
And it comes as no surprise to local real estate experts that Nevada once again leads the nation in the number of underwater borrowers at a full 48%.
That means 1 out of every 2 Nevada homeowners is now in this negative equity category. Unfortunately, I'm one of them. Just happened to buy my house at the top of the market and have sat back and watched its value decrease over the next 2 years. But local experts who know this market very well say just because a lot of us are underwater right now, that doesn't mean we're all going to drown.
You don't have to drown. Time is on your side. It's just a matter of holding out for a while.
Woodcock says those with stable mortgage rates will be better able to stay afloat, but those with adjustable rate mortgages, ARMs, that are due to reset in the coming months are the most vulnerable to foreclosure.
They need to look at some of the benefits that are being provided right now with the bailout plan.
And while experts may differ in the length of time they predict it will take for our economy to see any meaningful recovery, anywhere from 6 months to 2 years, those who know the Southern Nevada market best are confident about one thing.
I'm absolutely confident that if we're not near the bottom, we're very close.
Alison McCarthy, Channel 8 Eyewitness News.
2 major sporting events are in Las Vegas this weekend. Rodeo fans and racing fanatics are in town, and all promise to pump millions into our local economy. Channel 8's Mark Sayre reports.
The qualifying sessions are in full swing at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. From top fuel dragsters to funny cars, the decibels are high and the speeds are fast. Just getting ready for a full day and night of fun, Bob Burke and his 3 friends from Alberta, Canada.
We'd love to come to America. The drag races are excellent.
Burke says the group loaded into his motorhome and hit the road for Las Vegas.
It's 2,000 kilometers which in your language is about 1,400 miles.
And they've got money to spend.
Probably about $3,000. We blew some money down on Fremont Street last night, went down there for the Fremont Street experience. Normally go down to the Strip, to go to the MGM or wherever and play some roulette.
The license plates in the parking lot tell the story. Idaho, Oregon, California, and Montana, just to name a few. According to the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, last year this event alone generated nearly $28 million for the local economy.
The roulette wheel, a couple beer, walk around, look at the beautiful women and it's a great town. It's a great town.
The Bulls are the co-stars of the show at the Professional Bull Riders Association finals at the T&M. Last year, the LVCVA says this event generated $30 million for our local economy.
Give me those three.
We caught up with Carlene Kadish from Washington State. She and her husband Steve are staying in Southern Nevada for 10 days.
We're staying at South Point, and I figured it's going to be around $1,000.
Mark Sayre, Channel 8 Eyewitness News.
Hundreds of people are expected to lace up their sneakers for a good cause tomorrow. It is the annual Memory Walk, raising funds for the Alzheimer's Association. Earlier this week, I sat down with the organization's regional executive director, Luis Carrillo. It seems that more people, more families are facing Alzheimer's than ever before. Why is there this explosion, really, in the number of cases? I mean, what do you think is behind that?
Well, one of the biggest risk factors is age. And when you see that 1 out of 65 individuals will develop the disease, as you go further into the age of 85, 5 out of 10 individuals will develop the disease. So just the age factor of it brings a big risk factor of individuals developing it. As for right now, there is no cure for it, as you know. So they're not able to find out exactly where the disease is coming from exactly, and there are tests being done right now to determine how they can find a cure for it. But just the fact of that you're going to be at age 85 and you have the 50% chance of developing, it's very, very critical that people go out there and educate themselves on what Alzheimer's disease has to and bring to caregivers and their families and what they have to face.
Where does the fight stand now? I mean, you talked about they're trying to find out what causes it and how to cure it and that type of thing. What is the state of the fight against Alzheimer's in terms of treatments, in terms of drugs? I mean, is there anything that is showing real promise out there right now?
Well, unfortunately, right now there's no cure for it, as you know. Right. And I think that as there's more studies and there's more exams being done in trying to find a cure for it, unfortunately, right now there hasn't been that magic pill that you can say that is going to cure somebody from the disease. But there are steps that people can take in going to their physician and going and talking to them about the options they have with medications. There's so many different kinds that it affects everybody very differently. Medication will work differently on different individuals, where in some cases it will diminish the symptoms that people have with the disease. So it's very important that you consult with your physician, who will be the ideal person to talk to you about it, and what are the steps that you can take to kind of minimize the effects of having Alzheimer's disease.
Yeah.
So that's important.
What about the resources here in the Valley? If you are facing Alzheimer's or someone you love is facing Alzheimer's, where can they turn here in Southern Nevada?
Well, one place is the Alzheimer's Association. We're a nonprofit organization, and we provide free services for individuals that come to our organization. Our programs include family care consultation, where you have an individual talking to you on a one-to-one basis and helping you go through that process. And it's very important that sometimes you have a lot of questions. Where do I go for some help? And our family care consultants can help you with that as well. Support groups is another part of our association that can help individuals find that support from other individuals who need help. Of course, educational components that we go and do presentations is another piece. But when you look at the Alzheimer's Association, it's a nonprofit organization that provides free services to anybody that comes through our doors and trying to help them cope with this devastating disease. Our caregivers out there who are dealing with this is dramatic in regards to the stress that they're having to deal with on a day-to-day basis with individuals.
Yeah, sure.
So I think that what can I do to get help? We're there to have someone to talk to you.
Oh, I've seen it in my own family.
Yeah.
My own family's grappled with this, but I mean, not only is it devastating for the person who has Alzheimer's, obviously, but for the family member or members who have to take care of that person. What specifically do you have for the families who are taking care of their loved ones who are facing this?
Well, right now we do have a respite program, a voucher program that we've been very lucky of being funded through DAS, that individuals are able to apply to get respite services. It's a small break from the day-to-day things that they have to deal with, the caregivers and taking care of their loved ones. They can go through our organization and trying to apply for respite service. That's one particular part of services they can provide from us. Another piece would be also in going and talking to our family care consultants. A lot of the cases is, where can I go for some help? Where can I get that support? And it's critical that sometimes you need someone to talk to.
Right.
And where do I go to? We have many organizations that work real closely with us, nonprofit organizations, for-profit organizations who are home health agencies, hospice agencies, hospitals, rehab centers, and we have resources and giving people the list of providers that they can go to and get assistance from. And I think that that's where we play a key factor of helping those individuals, getting connected to those type of services that they need.
Real quick, let's talk about the Memory Walk, which is tomorrow on Saturday. The money you raise funds what?
The programs and services that we provide here locally. The great thing about it is that as being a nonprofit and a staff of 5 to 7 individuals in our office, we're dealing with over 20,000 people who've been diagnosed here in Southern Nevada. So those type of funding do help us in providing those services, respite services, family care consultation, support group support, helpline support as well. So all that money comes here and trying to help the individuals across the board. And of course, some of that money also goes to research at the national office and trying to find a cure as well. So it's across the board and trying to find a cure for it, and also to provide the programs and services locally here.
How many walkers do you expect tomorrow?
Well, last year we had over 1,000 walkers, and we're expecting to be close to 1,000 or over as well. So we're real looking forward of having over 1,000 walkers this coming
And
Saturday.
everybody goes to the fashion show? Is that where
Yes.
you begin from?
It's going to start at 7 o'clock. It's going to be from 7 to 10 at the fashion show. So we're asking everybody to come and join us. It's going to be, the great thing about it is it's inside the mall, so rain or shine, we're going to have it. So that's a great thing about having it at the fashion show.
Well, we wish you all the best tomorrow, Mr. Carrillo. Appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you very much, sir, to having us today.
By the way, the Memory Walk is tomorrow at 7 a.m. at the fashion show. For information, call 248-2770. All right, coming up in sports, the dragsters are racing toward a season title this weekend, but one driver already had his biggest victory. Michael Burke with that story coming up next. You're watching News 1. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Michael Burke joins us with sports tonight. Good to see you. Talking
You as
Rebel
well.
basketball here, huh?
On Halloween.
Hey.
So that's even better.
Cool.
All right. Halloween preps for the Running Rebels will be a treat should they turn the trick and get back to the NCAA tournament. Chris Matthews has more now on the scary potential of this team.
Oh, they'll turn some heads this year. And with the guard play, you know Wink Adams will break his opponents down. Coach Lon Kruger is solving that jigsaw puzzle. They'll be that good.
So here's the game.
They can't wait to play. Today it's practice. Tonight it's Halloween.
You know, it's a time where anybody could be anybody and, you know, just have a ball.
Think about scary movies, haunted houses.
This team has a bunch of guys who are scary good, kind of like Halloween's Mike Myers.
What about the Michael Myers? The Michael Myers? I give that to Joe Dogger.
I'm gonna give that to Trey. Trey's a little crazy. The Michael Myers probably Matt. You know, Matt's kind of the biggest guy. You know, he's kind of laid back. He's always in a customer, so you know he probably know us. So you never know with Matt.
It's fun to needle each other.
I get scared easily.
But as darkness falls on Las Vegas, the trick might be getting them to remember when dressing up wasn't such a treat.
When I was real young, you know, my mother, she used to take her lipstick and draw a face, draw like a clown face on me.
So I'm so glad I grew up.
Hard to remember the costume, but not the candy.
We couldn't wait to get home and start eating all of it. My mom would make sure we wouldn't eat all of it, though.
I used to take big buckets and just big garbage bags and get big candy.
So if you saw today's practice, it would blow your mind. Because right now, many fans don't know what lies behind the door. Happy Halloween. Chris Matthews, Channel 8 Eyewitness Sports.
Answer the question.
A female driver has a chance to win a season championship, and a cancer survivor is running second in the funny car division. Just two highlights of this weekend's NHRA event at the Speedway.
Racing and going to work gave me a great direction, kept my mind off the cancer, and kind of kept me focused on what I loved. It was a 46 to 60% survival rate at that point. So I don't want to say my life was a coin toss, but to them it was about at that stage.
Qualifying tomorrow. Speed. TCU has a lot of it on both sides of the football, and UNLV may not have enough on the defensive side. In each of the last three games, the Rebels have led going into the late stages of the fourth quarter, but lost all three. Now the 12th-ranked Horned Frogs hit Sam Boyd Stadium tomorrow, and there's good reason for concern.
And that's in every phase, offense, defense, and kicking. That would be I think they were clearly a faster team when you watch them than BYU. If you look at BYU on tape and look them on tape, they're a faster team than BYU, and BYU's a good football team.
First time in a while we've had three ranked teams in the conference. It's good for us, just more competition, see how our offense stacks up.
All right, Rebels TCU tomorrow at 5, the Mountain with live coverage if you cannot make it out to Sam Boyd Stadium.
Good luck to them.
They'll need it.
They will need it.
TCU's
and,
good.
Keep your fingers crossed. Yep. Michael, thank you. We'll be right back.
News 1 at 9 with Jeff Gillan, the Valley's only 9 p.m. newscast.
And here are some of the stories you're going to see in tomorrow's Las Vegas Sun. Tension runs high as election season winds down. Casino layoffs accelerating. And review the new show Chris Angel, Believe, looks good but doesn't deliver magic. Those stories and much more in tomorrow's edition of the Las Vegas Sun. And you're watching News 1. We'll be right back. There is much more coming up tonight on Channel 8 at 11. Dave Crevoisier joins us from the newsroom tonight with a preview. Dave, good evening.
Good evening, Jeff. There is a lot more to the story that George Knapp reported on earlier. He's got more on those mysterious men that investigated the fiery crash on the Colorado River. Plus, in an emergency, minutes can make the difference. Now, new technology in an air ambulance can make up those minutes and perhaps save some lives. Those stories and all your late-breaking news at 11 on this Halloween, Jeff.
All right, Dave, happy Halloween. Thank you very much. See you in 1 hour, and that does it for us here on News 1. I'm Jeff Gillan. Thanks for your time this week. Have a good evening. We'll see you Monday.